Business and Commercial Knowledge. Chapter 1 Business and Commercial Knowledge and Introduction. 1.1 Introduction. Humans engage themselves alternatively between work and force. We work to earn an income. We spend and also save the income for the sustenance of self and family. In this process, we regularly engage in numerous transactions and exchange our income for buying various goods and services. Being social and socially aware, we also live in a family life and engaged in various social activities. In this chapter, we shall understand human activities whilst focusing on what business means as a crucial part of our daily life and the multiple domains of business and commercial knowledge. In today's world, both earning of income as well as spending has increasingly become dependent on business and commerce. To begin with, let us understand business and commerce as comprising of an array of business of activities for production, distribution and exchange, buying and selling of goods and services. Now, whether we work as an employee or freelancers or as entrepreneurs, our world of work is made of business organizations. And even if we do not work for a business organization, much of our spending takes place buying various goods and services that has been produced or provided by business organizations. In all probability, most of the goods that we do not buy these straight from producers, but indirectly from second, third, or even latter intermediary or reseller. Take a minute, #1. Take a minute, #1. Following pictures represent two views of same room. List the items identifiable from the table. Think if said item would have been purchased directly from producer or some reseller. You may use the observation card given below this picture to organize your thought process with pen and paper. The picture is a representation of a house where there is seating, furniture, wall clock, fans, curtains, some table furniture as well as showcase and lamps. Format: observation card. It's a table. Left side, points of observation, right side, description. Under points of observation, first point, group of item or industry. Second, whether procured or purchased directly from producer. Third, the most likely source of procurement. Fourth, chain up to the original producer. Fifth, remarks if any. Now, it would be easier to understand the scope of business and commercial knowledge (BCK) that this course is all about. Table 1. Table 1 BCK Domains. An overview. It's a table. Left side domains, right side illustrative list. Domains. First, activities. Illustrative list: manufacturing, trading, domestic, foreign, commerce, aids to trade or auxiliaries to trade, services. Domain second, illustrative list for scale: micro enterprise, small enterprise, medium enterprise, large enterprise. Third domain, geographic scope: local, national, multinational is the illustrative list. Domain fourth, ownership, illustrative list: state owned or public owned. Sectors: private sector, sole proprietor, partnership, company or corporate sector. Fifth domain, markets, illustrative list: natural resources, equipments, commodities, capital, labor, product, markets. Sixth domain, shareholders, illustrative list: entrepreneurs, producers, customers, investors, business owners, directors, shareholders, managers, employees, suppliers, law and regulator or policy makers, supporting or facilitating organizations, society at large. Seventh domain functions illustrative list, production or operation, marketing, accounting, finance and taxation, human resources. Eighth domain focus illustrative list, company or enterprise wide, a particular business line, a particular function. Ninth domain concerns illustrative list, survival, profitability, growth, sustainability, social responsibilities, governance, value, and ethics. Domain ninth mode illustrative list, traditional or physical or brick and mortar or in store, digital or online. 10th domain underlining disciplines illustrative list, economics, laws, philosophy, psychology, sociology. 1.2 Domains of Business and Commercial Knowledge BCK. Oxford Online Dictionary defines the term domain as a specified sphere of knowledge. Domain, in simpler terms, means a subject. Following that, the sphere of knowledge or the subject about business and commerce is vast, eclectic, and ever evolving and expanding. BCK is vast. The universe of BCK is vast. Take, for example, the range of business activities. It includes manufacturing, trading, and all sorts of services. Think about any of these activities. Countless instances come to the mind. Take domestic trade, and within it, the retail trade. Now, door to door direct sellers, street vendors, weekly huts, or bazaars, neighborhood shops, marketplace, malls, company chain stores, and online retail, e-tail, etc. All comprise retail trade. Thus, to know about retail trade, one needs to be aware of its various forms. Further, one needs to know the function that the retailers perform. For example, the neighborhood retailer provides a variety of goods of daily needs, various brands of same item in smaller quantity, and a host of other services such as home delivery, weekly or monthly credit, etc. Malls provide a different kind of shopping experience, and the online retailing provide 24/7 convenience. Note, we have just enumerated some of the benefits from the point of view of customers. What about the services to the wholesalers and as an intermediary in the chain of distribution from the producer to customer? All in all, the business domain is vast. It has numerous activities, all interrelated and spread in wide areas. BCK is eclectic, multidisciplinary. BCK is eclectic, that is, it derives from various disciplines, example marketing, accounting and finance, operations, human behavior, psychology, sociology, laws, economics, ethics, etc. Business is not just about selling a product or service. It includes various fields of study within itself. Understanding human behavior, finance, economics, world economy, legal terms, laws of various countries, etc. Each discipline has a vocabulary of its own and thus contributes towards BCK vocabulary. Further, BCK adapts the vocabulary of these diverse fields like military and even unrelated fields as biology. Building the BCK vocabulary #1. Building the BCK vocabulary #1. It is a table with three different columns. First is BCK vocabulary, second is original discipline, third is description. BCK vocabulary first. Strategy. Original discipline is from military. Description. Just as the armies at the war develop strategies to outsmart each other, likewise business draw their strategies to beat their competitors. Second BCK vocabulary, logistics. Original discipline is again military. Description. In military, logistics means movement of troops, military supplies and equipments. In business, it implies the detailed coordination of a complex operation involving many people, facilities, or supplies. Typically, inbound logistics imply the movement of input, and the outbound logistics implies the movement of output. Third BCK vocabulary, bulls. Original discipline, biology. Description. Because bulls throw up the enemies in compact, likewise, bulls imply the stock market players who raise the stock prices through building a buying pressure. Being bullish implies optimistic expectation that the economy or market or business is likely to do well. Last basic vocabulary, bears. Original discipline, biology, description. Bears have tendency to embrace and push downwards the enemies in a compact. Thus, bears are the stock market players that have pessimistic expectation. BCK is ever evolving and expanding. BCK domains are ever evolving and expanding. For example, information and communication technology has introduced several terms in the lexicon of BCK. Example 24/7, B2B, B2C, BPO, etc. An important aspect of this evolution is the decline and diminish of old businesses and old ways of doing businesses, and the emergence of new business and newer ways of doing the business. These changes may be aided or impeded by changes in technology, society, economy, etc., collectively referred to as business environment. New products and services and even ways of doing business are changing every single day. Latest innovation in e-commerce, social media, artificial intelligence, etc. have changed the way knowledge obsolescence, outdatedness is high. Thus, we need to stay updated and develop the capability of learn, unlearn, and relearn at a faster pace. 1.3 Importance of BCK for Chartered Accountant. The Chartered Accountants are the custodian of nation's resources. They are responsible for putting in a place a credible system of truthful and fair accounting and reporting of the society's resources, that development and utilization. Business and commercial sector comprises a large share of their work arena. In this context, BCK is likely to make them move more aware and responsive. Each business has its own peculiarities and associated various notions of product, inventory, revenue, profit, etc. For example, a fast moving consumer goods FMCG business pertains to manufacture, distribution, and sale of large variety of staples, groceries, bakery, etc. Personal care and home care products such as soap and detergents and cosmetics, etc. The chartered accountant can easily develop notions of cost, inventory, revenue, profits, etc. However, in hotels and resorts, these notions change. Moreover, in addition to certain common laws that all business are subject to, each business is subject to a host of laws specific to it. Understanding business and its complexes is of utmost importance to work as a value contributor to the economy in any form of service a chartered accountant wishes to work. The chartered accountant shall be able to conduct the audit diligently, take decisions, strategies, make plans and budgets, and work closely with various business teams. Only when they understand the notions of the business, they can add value to the work. Getting conversant with and updating BCK. We have noted that BCK domains are vast, eclectic, and ever expanding. We are convinced that BCK is important for a successful education and career as a chartered accountant. Now, how do we get to terms with BCK, especially if we don't have a prior background, example 10 plus 2 or a degree in commerce? The task indeed seems Herculean. And to the top of it, there is constant dilemma whether to focus on specialization or core principles, that is, accounting and taxation, or diffuse our energy to such a wide topic as business. Take a trip to the tips of enhancing one's BCK quotient BQ #1. Enhancing BQ #1. Self assurance. Business is all around. We encounter it, engaged with it in numerous transactions on daily basis. Non-commerce background is not a handicap. If you had science, use the bridge of technology to cross over to business. If you had humanities, then there are several bridges connecting with business. Economics for sure. History of daily lives and livelihoods. Geography, the resources, occupations. Psychology and sociology, understanding of human behavior, and so on. Leverage the eclectic nature of BCK. Observation and experience are the best guides. It is all about becoming slightly more conscious of our sense activities. Maybe an article in a newspaper, a TV commercial, or a business news, a visit to a market or a mall, browsing of the internet or a smartphone app. Each one of us has six honest servants. Yes, Rudyard Kipling reminds us, I keep six honest serving men. They taught me all I knew. Their names are what and why and when and how and where and who. Excerpted from Elephant's Child. We may therefore wear our looking glasses and set out on an exploratory journey. Practice and improvement via reflexive thinking leads to perfection. We may maintain a daily journal or BCK wherein we record our observations and organize our readings, views, listenings, etc. An illustrative list of sources of enhancing BCK. Note, this is not an inclusive list but a convenient sampling. Newspapers, Mint, Business Standard, ET, that is Economic Times, the Financial Express, business magazines, Business World, Business India, Business Today, India Forbes, business channels, CNBC TV 18, BTVI #opinions that count, NDTV Profit, ET Now. Having elaborated the BCK domains, the importance for chartered accountant, and the means of enhancing BCK, let us turn our attention to the rest of objectives stated at the beginning of this chapter. 1.4 Human Activities, Economic and Non-Economic. Our waking lives are all about activities. Many activities we engaged in are purposeful. Usually, we dichotomize these activities as work and play. These days, it is more common for adults to talk about work life, the latter implying family time, times of one's hobbies, causes, etc., and strive towards balancing the two work life balance. We all work to earn a living. All that we do to earn a living compromises economic activities. Rest all activities are inferred to as non-economic activities. Interestingly, while economic activities are distinguishable merely by presence of livelihood motive, a variety of motives are attributed to non-economic activities. That is, concern for fellow being, affection and love for family, passion about hobby or causes such as animal rights, forest or nature conservation, unprivileged youth, etc. Usually, economic activities are said to be driven by rationality. What do I get in it? Return, or what is in it for me, or self interest. Non economic activity are driven by emotional or sentimental reasons, that is, selfless concern for welfare of others. Thus, human engagements in all social, religion, culture, personal, recreation, charity, and patriotic activities are bundled all together as are known as non-economic activities. See rowing I hashtag 1. Rowing I hashtag 1 economic and non-economic activities. A chef cooking is an economic activity, while a housewife cooking is a non-economic activity. Playing carom with people is non-economic activity. People for the ethical treatment of animals as an organization is a non-economic activity. People standing to save a tree is a non-economic activity. Enjoying a party, serving people food in a temple, placing water for strangers is a non-economic activities. While working in garage, sewing clothes or being an advocate is a economic activity. Rowing I hashtag 1 above provides a pictorial glimpse into some economic and non-economic activities. It shall be clear now that economic activities are monetarily driven, while non-economic activities are more included towards altruism. But it is interesting to note that even non-economic activities has an economic dimension, as time, money, and material resources are needed to make this happen, both in terms of large initial expenditure as well as the day-to-day operations and management. However, neither the investors nor who volunteer to work in these activities seek any material gain or regular income from these activities. In fact, the motive or the intent behind any activities is such a singular strong determinant of economic and non-economic dichotomy that, say, if I engaged in homemaking, cooking, housekeeping, etc., for my family, it would be deemed as non-economic activity. If I do so for others for an income, the same activity would be deemed as an economic activity. However, the world needs to understand that if we wish the best minds, hearts, and souls to work for solution of problems facing the humanity, we must find ways of offering them the best reward and compensation. 1.4.1 Distinguishing characteristics of economic activity. Economic activity have several distinguishing characteristics other than motive of earning a livelihood. Let us be more aware of these. In the process, we shall also be able to situate and understand business as an economic activity. First, economic activities are income generating. One may earn a livelihood in several ways: manufacturing, reselling, employment, providing any professional service, etc. Income earned by rendering personal time, physical, and psychic energy, in other words, through one's sweat and intellectual, is called earned income. And the income earned by letting out one's property is called property income. In economics, individual comprise as possessor of one or more of factor of productions: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. The corresponding income earned in exchange of compensation for the factor services are wages and salaries, rent, interest, and profit. It is not necessary that all these incomes may be earned in the form of money only. These are earned in kind too. For example, a landowner may compensate the tiller of land in form of food grains. How much can we earn from each factor? The factors earn according to the contribution to the production. In other words, income is generated in the process of production. Second, economic activities are productive. We can transform various raw materials into useful products and sell them for an income. Further, we can even teach skills we are good at to other people in exchange of money. Production essentially is the process of creation of satisfying goods and services. Has a corollary, an earning a livelihood implies participation in the process of production. Production here refers to both goods and services. When the early man set out to hunting the animals and gathering the foods and firewood, he engaged in productive activities. Farming is productive too. Practice of crafts, pottery, textiles is an instant of productive activity. Generation of electricity, manufacture of automobiles, and writing of software programs are all instances of productive activity. Teaching medicine, law, accountancy are all productive activities. Production may either be done for subsistence, that is self-consumption, or for market. Production represents the supply side of economics, more so if it is for selling. Here, its scope is broadened not only to include the place where it takes place but also entire range of activities and occupations devoted to delivering the products or services provided to the market: transporting, warehouse, intermediaries, example wholesalers or dealers, retailers, etc., and so on. Third, even consumption is an economic activity. Consumption represents the demand side of economic, that is, goods and services on which people will spend their income. Production is organized in response to demand. Different products compete for buyers' attention and spending. In fact, every unit of demand is like a vote in favor of product and a single signal to the producer. An economic activity might produce a good or service, but it is not complete until it can earn an income. Thus, feeling or exchanging it for money or in kind, that is, consumption of produce, is equally important. Therefore, economic activities includes consumption as well, saving, investment, and wealth. We just understood that production of goods and services as an economic activity generates income. This income is actually the amount that people spend to buy those goods and services. The unspent income for people comprises their savings. The financial sector, banks, non-banking finance companies, mutual funds, dealers in stock market, retail, gold, etc. are the channels through which savings are converted into investment and the wealth. The corporate sector and the government borrow these savings via shares, debentures, bonds, etc., and invest these into creating and operating civil, military, and business infrastructure and other productive pursuits for the country. Thus, all in all, economic activities add to saving, investment, and wealth in the income. 1.4.2 Business as an economic activity. We have seen that market oriented production, other than production for self consumption, represents supply side of economics. It is common to refer to shift for subsistence driven production towards market driven production as commercialization of production or production on commercial scale. We have also seen that for production to occur at commercial scale, a wide array of interconnected activities need to be put in place. Linking production, supply side, with consumption, demand side can then be achieved. With this background, we can attempt a three-tier definition of business. For a broader perspective, business may be defined as an economic activity comprising entire spectrum of activities pertaining of production, distribution and trading, exchange of goods and services. As such, it refers to aggregate of all the businesses and functions related to businesses of all sizes, industry, construction and manufacturing, trading or service enterprise, state owned or public service or private enterprise, proprietary or corporate sector enterprise, micro, small, medium or large enterprise, domestic or multinational enterprise. We will take up a brief discussion on these terms later in the chapter. It usually to classify business into industry, trade, and commerce, wherein commerce includes or industry or trade related to services or auxiliaries or aids to business, such as banking, general insurance, transport, warehousing, etc. Here a question arises: is agriculture an industry and hence a business? Its answer is it depends. In India, much of agriculture is subsistence agriculture. Moreover, agriculture income under Income Tax Act is characterized separately from income from business and profession and is exempted from tax. Thus, for our purpose, agriculture does not comprise industry and hence business. However, the industries where agriculture produce is processed like pulse, spice, wheat to flour, processed oils, etc., and whose key material ingredient is agriculture produce do compromise an industry. For example, the extraction of edible oil from rice, mustard, coconut, soya bean, etc. represents agro-based industry. From the medium perspective, business refers to a particular type of activity or industry such as retail business, real estate businesses and IT businesses, iron and textile industry, transport business, etc. Thus, a firm may introduce itself as follows: we are a food processing unit. From a narrow perspective, business may be defined as one's usual occupation of creating, owning, and actively operating an economic organization that is a firm. The phrase usual business is important for infrequent isolated transactions, even if these might result in profit or losses, cannot be called business. Thus, one-time profit earning transaction cannot be termed as business. They have to be excluded on regular basis. A diagram with three boxes in one's each other. Layer 1 commerce includes all types of business activities. Layer 2, which is within layer 1, specific industry, retail, e-commerce, real estate, healthcare, etc. Layer 3, which is within layer 1 and 2, daily occupations. Three layers of understanding business. Let us see if we intend can comprehend the three layers of analysis of definition of business. 1.4.3 Distinguishing characteristics of business vis-a-vis other economic occupations. Whilst business as an economic occupation is vastly diverse, yet only a small portion of population, more so urban educated population, engages in it. For example, for all of you pursuing chartered accountancy, only a small percentage is going to start a business. Since CA is a professional qualification, most likely you are going to practice as an independent professional or would take up a paid up employee somewhere. We have thus introduced two other distinct occupations with relation to employee and professional. Let us understand these two forms of occupation and then let us discuss the characteristics that distinguish business from these two. Employment. Employment is a contract or service between employee and employer. The contract elaborates job description and the periodic compensation known as wages and salaries. The term wages usually denotes factory workers, salary denotes office staff, managers, etc. One has to undergo a detailed process of recruitment and selection for one's engagement in employment. Usually minimum qualification such as education or technical or professional and prior work experience are prescribed to take up for an employment. Freshers may be initially recruited as interns and required to undergo training, and one is expected to perform as per terms of employment and the performance targets assigned to them from time to time. There is a minimum assured income, tenure certainly, and reasonable opportunities for career progress by promotion. Professional. Profession is rendering of service of a specialized nature, necessitating prescribed qualification for a fee under a certificate of practice from an established certification or accreditation or examination and assessment body that also imposes code of conduct. Professions can be pursued as independent practice or under a contract of employment too. Accountancy, architecture, designing, engineering, law, medicine, and increasingly even management are assuming the attributes of a profession. The word profession or professional in a common parlance is used to distinguish from one's amateurish or substandard performance or practice as a part-time or hobby. Professionalism is often associated with perfectionism. Historically, however, professions have emerged in pursuit of nobility, demonstrated highest level of integrity and ethics, and hence have been held in very high esteem and social status or respect. Chartered accountants, for example, represent a noble profession for ensuring truthfulness and fairness in the conduct of business, and thus have been instrumental in ensuring its worthiness of the entire economic system. The logo of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India (ICA) is suggestive of vigilance expected from its members, the chartered accountants. Having clarified the meaning and nature of employment and profession as an economic occupation, we are also now in position to a deeper into a nature of business. Before we do that, it would be useful to do a recaption of main points of differences between business, profession, and employment. Recap hashtag 1. It's a table with 5 columns. First is serial number, second is basis of distinguish, third is business, fourth is profession, fifth is employment. First, meaning business, entire spectrum of market oriented activities coming under industry, trade, and commerce. Profession, independent rendering of services of specialized nature based on prescribed qualifications under the aegis of a professional body that also prescribes a code of conduct. Employment, rendering of services under a contract of employment for wages, salaries, also called as wage employment. Second, mode of establishment, business, entrepreneurs' decision and other legal forms is necessary. Profession, membership of a professional body and certificate of practice. Employment, letter of employment and service agreement. Third, source of livelihood, business, profit. Professional fees. Employment, wages and salaries. Fourth, prescribed qualification. Business, none. Profession, strictly prescribed. Employment, minimum qualification for each type of job. Fifth, ethical guidance. Business, founder's value. Profession, professional codes. Employment, employer's codes. Sixth, investment. Business, substantially required. Profession, some requirement. Example, office or chamber or clinic. Employment, none. Seventh, personal autonomy or freedom. Business, the most, you are your own boss. Profession, quite a bit. Employment, not much. Eighth, popular psychology motive. Business, economic achievement. Profession, service to clients or society. Employment, livelihood. Ninth, certainty of income. Business, least. However, either way. Profession, quite a bit. Employment, the most. Contractually determined periodic income. 10th, stability of tenure or durability of occupation. Business, uncertain. Profession, quite certain. Employment, quite certain. 11th, transfer of interest or succession. Employment, possible. Profession, not possible. Employment, not possible. From the above discussion, we may now understand distinguishing characteristics of business. First, job creator and not job seeker. Business as an institution is source of substance directly to business owners and employees and directly to all those who derive opportunities from it. It is a unique characteristic of business that separate it from other occupations. Yes, professionals in practice may also generate some employment, but certainly not in numbers that business is capable of generating. Second, providing momentum to economic growth and development. What is economic growth? It is persistent increase in country's gross domestic product GDP. What is GDP? It is the value of all the final goods and services produced in a country during a particular period. Business output comprehensively contributes towards GDP and thus the economic growth. How is economic growth distinguishable from economic development? Whereas growth merely implies increase in GDP numbers. Economic development implies diversification of economic capabilities and improvement in the quality of lives of its people. Business, through research and development, education and training and development of employees, and by sheer guts and encourage of experimenting and innovations, brings about economic development. In fact, it is patent now to introduce the term entrepreneur. Here, in common past lens, the terms business person and entrepreneur are synonyms. Even if we shall be using these terms interchangeably. However, entrepreneurs are better characterized more by problem solving, new opportunity seeking behavior that draws on the creativity and innovation. Thus, business catapult economic growth as well as development. Investment intensive. Starting a business requires a sizable investment of funds, accommodation, plant and machinery, inventories, etc. In accounting, investment requirements are established as the sum of fixed asset and net current asset. Indeed, investment are necessary for technological upgradation, modernization and expansion. However, size of investment usually varies with the scale of business. That is why India micro, small, medium, and large enterprise are defined with respect to the size of investment. More specific investment in plant and machinery for manufacturing enterprise and investment in equipment for service enterprise. It is believed and practicable true that the lack of investable funds or capital is a strong barrier to start a business. Thus, any form of business requires investment and therefore investment intensive. Gestation and uncertainties. Investment takes time to fructify or investment takes time to bring profits and it is uncertain whether it will yield the returns as expected. Therefore, it will take time to construct and operate a hotel before it is open for occupancy. And it is uncertain if all the rooms occupied would be occupied at the time. In fact, it is also uncertain if occupancy ratio, rooms night occupied, or rooms night capacity would be adequate. In economics and finance, one distinguishes between risk and uncertainty. Risk can be calculated in advance. Uncertainty cannot. Moreover, risk is characteristics of uncertainty itself. Business takes time to flourish and it is uncertain whether it would actually bring in profits. This characteristic specifically distinguish it from all other forms of occupation. Systematic, organized, efficiency oriented activity. Business is not a random, stray, unorganized, and occasional activity. It is consciously created system of production of both goods and services. Thus, firm infrastructure needs to be in place. Supply chain of material needs to be developed. These materials need to be processed or transformed. Products need to be marketed and sold. Payments need to be collected, etc. All these tasks has to be divided into specific functions. Means of coordination need to be devised so that the business is able to deliver the promised products and services on day-to-day basis efficiently on time of consistent quality and exceeding performance expectation. It is a well drafted and executed system wherein various functions work interdependently as well as independently to achieve a common motive, majorly profits. Business is systematic in literal sense of the term system, an integrated, unified whole comprising of interrelated, interdependent, and interacting parts, just as automobile system. Viewed thus, for the business to perform well, it needs to ensure that all the parts perform their respective functions well and in sync with each other, be it production, sales, marketing, and the like. Imagine if the production function is not in sync with marketing and hence unable to fulfill the orders generated by it. Moreover, with each function performs a task, it is important that one does not lose sight of the overall objective of the firm. Unlike an automobile, however, business is an open system as it interacts with the environment. For example, business has to interact with the customers to get the vital feedback, product modification, and win the counting patronage, objective oriented or purpose fulfilled. Profit is said to be defining motive behind business. In economics, objective of the firm is to set as maximization of profits. Profits are the income of business, just as wages and salaries are of labor. Rent is the income from land, and interest the income from investment. It is the residual occurring of the business owners after all other factors of productions have been paid off. What are profits for? These are for organizing production, undertaking risk, and bearing uncertainty. Let's reflect deeper on the purpose of business. We have seen above that business as an institution, and more so, though its entrepreneurial endeavors brings about a qualitative change called development. We have seen that business persons are efficiency seekers, problem solvers, and innovators. These intangible aspects of business performance impart deeper meaning of business and its purpose. Idealistic business must lead the world towards more egalitarian, participative, and collective perspective that is sustainable for generations. This ideal corresponds to the ideal of sustainable development that at business level may be interpreted as simultaneous pursuit of profitability, people well-being, and planet sustainability. Think, why is sustainable development necessary and how businesses, instead of focusing solely on profits, must also attend to people's problems and planet conservation. Think, why it is not sufficient that business and a country balance economy, profitability, and social people concerns or economic and ecology concerns or social and ecology concerns. Plus, you think through. Let us highlight the plurality of the objectives of business and concept elaboration #1. Concept elaboration #1. Objectives of business. Considerations #1. Interdependence. Business draws its factors of production from the society and is dependent on it for sale of its goods and services. #2. Multiple stakeholders. A firm the is not only the owners, it is as much other investors or lenders, employees, customers, suppliers, competitors, the community and the larger society and the ecology of which business is a part. Hashtag 3. Amount of profit. Profit is just about that much and that less an objective of business as eating for living. Do we eat to live or live to eat? Likewise, profit is minimum concept. In fact, a cost of being in and cost of staying in business. Hashtag 4. Primacy of customer. If at all there is a single purpose of business, it is the creation and maintenance of customers through product quality, service, and delivering value for money. Hashtag 5. Performance in the precursor to profits. To be able to earn profits, the firm has to excel in all its functionalities. Why? Procurement, production, sales and marketing, accounting, and finance. Thus, even if profit is the objective, it has to be broken down to relevant objects for each of these areas. There are 2 rows and 4 columns. First, economic objectives: sales, profit, return on investment, efficiency, resource conservation, achieving more from less, economic value added, profits in excess of cost of capital investment in business, market share, organic objective, survival, health, age of assets, fitness of human resources, reserves capital, generally and contingency, growth, diversification of capabilities. Third, social responsibility. Community service, education, health, sanitization, heritage conservation, community support during calamities and disasters, specific responsibility toward employees, investors, customers, suppliers, competitors, etc. Legal, ethical, and environmental objectives. Respect for law in letter and spirit, fair practices, transparency, truthfulness, honesty and integrity, green technologies, products usage and disposal, lower emission, effective waste handling and disposal, prevention of air, water, and soil quality. Responsible businesses, wishful thinking, or meaningful enterprise. Ashba, India's first social enterprise focused on women. ITC, the greenest hotels chain in the world. Lemon Tree Hotels, providing gainful employment to persons with disability. Hindustan Unilever Limited, Project Shakti for empowerment of rural women. The plurality of the objectives of business suggests that businesses must be ascertained not only in terms of the economic returns but also the social and ecological returns. In fact, the trend surely is towards development of more holistic and more balanced measurements of business performance. We as a society should be aware of motive, the businesses which justify their purpose and conduct the businesses fairly, while caring for the community, society, and the environment as they operate, even though the ones that has been hampered on the businesses to be aware and socially responsible. We all at our individual levels have been aware and responsible towards ecology and social harmony.